And joining us now to discuss how the spending and tax bill will affect states is New Mexico Governor Lujan Grisham. Governor, thank you so much for joining us. The GOP mega bill is now in the House for reconciliation. One point of contention, as you know, is a significant decrease in fundings for programs like SNAP and also Medicaid. According to the Kaiser Family Foundation, New Mexico has almost 900,000 residents enrolled in Medicaid, nearly 500,000 receiving SNAP food benefits. States will have to pick up the tab if the federal government cuts that funding. Can New Mexico afford it?
Well, no state can afford to do this by itself. That's the point. This is going to have generational, lasting negative impacts. 20% of New Mexico hospitals and healthcare providers could close. At least 8 immediate rural hospitals, that means for hundreds of miles, have no emergency care. And really what this is so that the president's very rich, ultra wealthy billionaires can continue to enrich themselves. Poor people get stripped away of food and healthcare. It is the most outrageous betrayal to middle class and poor Americans I've seen in my entire career.
What else in this bill is concerning to you and your state?
Well, I mean, it's sweeping cuts. If they were really interested in healthcare reform, they would do healthcare reform. They were really not. It's just a lie that he continues to lie to Americans who really want to believe that the president has their best interests at heart here. Patients are not committing fraud, sure. We just saw a big fraud case dealing with Medicare and catheters. Did he add investigators? Is he adding personnel to deal with that for big, rich providers? No. He's punishing Democratic states. And you can see that by this sort of retaliatory effect by taking away the Inflation Reduction Act investments. Now he's just hurting people's jobs. And those folks who, frankly, probably deserve to have something different with taxes on their tips aren't going to have access to health care. That's going to be their trade-off. And when you have cancer or a catastrophic accident, this is going to really hit folks who took him and the Congress at their word that he would protect them and he wouldn't cut Medicaid. He lied.
One of the other aspects of this bill is removing taxes on tips and overtime wages. Is that something you support?
Well, in general, but not when you use that as sort of a bait and switch to get rid of all of the healthcare underpinnings in this country. Remember, a lot of the folks, certainly in New Mexico, who get taxes on their tips, who are taxed on their tips, might be veterans. Might be folks who were served by the Indian Health Services Act, which is Indian health care, and they aren't going to have any access to that health care anymore. I don't know of a single American who said, you know what, I'd like a middle-class tax benefit, but what I'd like you to do in order to get that for me is to give your buddies an extra huge tax deduction while adding to the deficit and ripping away food security from my family and my healthcare access. That is not what was promised. And that's exactly what's going to happen in America. I have no doubt that the House passes this bill, and I'm really disgusted by what's going to happen. And you asked me a very specific question. New Mexico is going to lean in as hard as we can to protect New Mexicans. But at the end of the day, this is a $20 billion hit for 10 years. We just got voted, fourth best in terms of food insecurity improvements. We take seriously lifting up poor people. And all this does is to create more, inequity in America and more poverty.
We just have 30 seconds, Governor, but I think I heard you just say you believe that the House is going to pass this bill. You think so?
Well, I mean, so far, this is, even though they're saying they don't like it, I've heard this before. They say they aren't going to vote for it, but they do. I think they're going to deliver this bill to the president, but I think Americans should make their displeasure and their concerns loud and clear to both the White House and to members of Congress. But of course, I mean, why wouldn't I think that?
New Mexico Governor Lujan Grisham, we thank you so much for your time tonight. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Lindsay.